I got a lot of explaining to do, huh? Okay. Well, here goes nothing. Hi, I'm Kenji. You may also know me as Jasper. Or Soda, if you knew me that for that long. I am the creator of Curse, and I have an ARG and a bunch of story stuff that explains what he's all about. But they're not readily accessible or easily available to those coming from the Friday Night Funkin' community due to the EXE community being extremely, well, isolated for the most part, besides like the Friday Night Funkin' bleed, but that's besides the point. The main thing I want to focus on is Curse. Who he is, what he's about, and why he is the way he is. Because a lot of them are, yeah, if I have to hear the term femboy EXE one more fucking time, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Anyway, the main thing I want to focus on is his story, the ARG, and why he is the way he is. Mainly because I'm kind of sick and tired of the misconceptions going around and what it is that Curse is about. Because people have a lot of their own interpretations of what he is, and some of them are both so accurate, but something's missing, or just completely wrong. So, let's get down to it. Curse is an EXE I made back on September 1st, 2021. I had made him as a love letter to the EXE community and those around me and the mod itself. It started off as an RP account that I had made as a means of feeding my inner child and doing something that I thought people would find kind of cringe due to the fact that I did not get to do a lot of that. I grew up with cringe culture, and as such, I'm used to that kind of behavior and mentality, which has left a lot of deep mental scarring that has kept me from doing a lot of the things that I love and adore. As time went on, however, things changed extremely. Curse had evolved from this asshole who would do anything to get his way, a bit of a prankster, a bit of a douche, basically, into the scrunkly and cute little guy we know him as today. And why was that evolution a thing? It was mainly because, as time went on, Curse's story revolved less around him being the subject of horror, but rather the horrors were around him. You see, my intention with Curse was to make it so where he was not the subject of the horror. He is not the monster. He is not the one to deal the blows. Instead, he is subjected to the horror around him. He is the one who is a victim of circumstance, abuse, trauma, etc. The main reason I did this was because, one, I find this to be extremely terrifying as a victim of abuse and trauma, but also because I didn't see this trope being executed in a way that I thought was interesting. Maybe it's just a me thing. I'm just not a fan of the tired trope of Sonic has a demon inside him, and as such needs to fight for control, wins, etc. You would see that back then in a lot of fan games, and I was kind of tired of it. And as such, Curse is my way of executing what I thought was a interesting trope. Now, when it comes to Curse being transgender, the main reason I did this was for self-indulgence. I do not owe anyone an explanation as to why Curse is transgender. That is just a decision that I made on my own due to my Sonic interpretation being transgender himself. There is no deeper meaning outside of that, and there doesn't need to be a deeper meaning. But if you want my deeper meaning, I'll go ahead and explain it. When it comes to the abuse that Curse is subjected to in his story, one of it comes from a Tails that is herself transgender. However, she does use his weak points against him, and them both being trans, and both confiding in each other with their struggles and identity crises, she used those against him as his low point. Curse has had a lot of low points, and his gender dysphoria is one of them. He confided in Tails and all of those around him with this knowledge of him being transgender, having gender dysphoria, And while he has socially transitioned, is taking testosterone, and is doing all he can, Tails does not see this progress, and in fact, even sees him sometimes as faking it. The main reason being is that she, as a trans woman, doesn't feel like he struggles as much as she does. This is based on a real person that I knew, who treated me in a similar manner. She had treated me as if we were not equals in our transness due to us being two opposite sides of the spectrum. I am a trans man who uses xenopronouns. She is a trans woman who kind of saw me as lesser than because I didn't understand the struggles that she had went through. This is not to imply that all trans women or all trans men go through what I and her have gone through, or even act like her in the first place. This is not to be confused with that, and as such I respect that you all will not take it as such. As for his story, sit back and let's tell a tale of a Sonic who was dealt a horrific life. Taken from the Wikipedia page and My Toy House, linked in the description below. Curse is described as a little ball of sunshine who just needs a break from the world. He has a heart of gold and wants nothing more but to keep those around him happy and chipper. While still dealing with his own inner demons, he still makes time for those around him and makes sure they're happy. Despite this, he's still a bit stubborn when it comes to his own well-being. He doesn't like being worried for. He loathes it due to his hyper-independence. An EXE variant that carries out a curse. He's a Sonic who bears a hex that is carried out by means of violence. Despite holding such a mentally taxing job of murdering abusers and pedophiles, he's a ray of sunshine to other EXEs. Curse is extremely friendly, even to those who possibly don't deserve it. And now, we get into his backstory. Sonic had lived a decently everyday life up until a landslide suddenly destroyed his life. Knuckles had died in the process, and Sonic's legs had gotten damaged. He can't run fast anymore. At all. Else his legs risk even worse damage. The public had blamed Sonic for the death of Knuckles due to his survival. People saw this as a murder attempt that had succeeded, or just a victim of circumstance, but Sonic is the one to take the blame. Robotnik retired from being a menace and used his riches and robots to benefit the rest of society, specifically using his badniks and Metal Sonic as Sonic's bodyguards, which is especially important because Sonic got harassed near daily. It gets to the point his house is no longer safe for him to stay in. He can't live in his own home without someone looking in or vandalizing it. Tails doesn't help in this situation at all. She's been stalking him, bullying him, deadnaming him, basically getting under his skin on purpose, and for the reasons that I have kept secret on purpose. At some point, the Curse of X itself latches itself onto Sonic. No one knows how or why. It's assumed to be the result of the X phenomena, but that is still being researched. As the years went by, he had roomed with Sally Acorn for a good year or two, hiding away from the public with mixed results. People finally found the instructions to the curse, and this is when hell breaks loose. The first one to die was a rando. There's no sentimental value, but a life was lost. But the next one was Sally. This one was especially traumatizing for Sonic, given her blood was on his hands without his knowledge. Sonic had gone back to his own home to hide away, but found a letter the next day. It asked him to meet at the bridge. That's when Tails finds him and threatens to let out the fact that she knows he killed those people. After the attempted drowning, Metal Sonic saves him. Eggman was next. The curse waits for no one. As Metal housed Sonic, he had killed Robotnik, but Metal didn't seem distressed. In fact, Robotnik had already written his will and knew his death was coming when the curse was found out. He had made many enemies, so it was expected. But Metal handed Sonic a card and a portal gun at the mansion. The reason for this was so Sonic could have a prosperous and more fulfilling life. He had been dealt the short end of the stick, and Metal and Robotnik wanted nothing but the best for him at this point. There's no need to wish ill on someone who's already sick. He wasn't safe in his own dimension. This was just a dimensional issue. So a portal gun was handed to go to other dimensions and make a new life. Good luck out there, Sonic. When it comes to Curse's story and what I had intended, as much as the execution on my end was rushed and poorly put together, my intentions are clear. I want a story that has Sonic/Curse to be the subject of abuse, trauma, and all of that around him, rather than him becoming a monster and dealing those blows himself. He kills, yes, he does kill people. He kills pedophiles and those who deems to deserve it, as the curse follows him everywhere, and instructions will follow him all the time, and he has the choice to kill those he deems deserve it. However, when it comes to how people perceive this story, I don't blame them for having a shallow view of it and or finding it to be garbage. It's mainly because my writing skills are not the best, and I do not proclaim myself to be the best writer. If anything, I don't think Curse's story is great. I feel like it could be better. However, I don't want to change anything about Curse's story because I feel like the premise that I've gone with and what I have had intended is extremely transparent now that everyone knows. Well, what about the shipping? Oh boy. Oh jeez. Okay. I didn't expect people to find out about that so soon. However, me going to be open about everything, I'm going to explain what the fuck that's all about. So Curse has multiple partners. This is not a secret, this is not unknown, this is just a thing that he has. But why? Why give this character ships with a bunch of other EXEs that don't even impact his story, and in fact kind of contradict some of them as well? It's because I've discussed this with the others, and I have my own reasons for doing this. Curse deserves to be happy, no? As much as he is an EXE, I feel like deep down everyone has the urge for those around them to be happy. And as such, Curse does deserve to be happy, especially with all that he has gone through. And he is not the subject of horror, so why would he continue to be miserable and a doomer character? Else, I just completely do what I had intended originally. I made this specifically because Curse deserves to be happy, and he, as a bisexual, polyamorous man, deserves the world and all the partners that he deserves, all he wants. I don't think it impacts the story in a negative way. I have discussed all of the ships with all of those involved, and they're all okay and fine with it. Hell, if you're curious about the Exterion thing, there are two canons for Exterion. One is the proper canon, and one is the EXE-verse. Curse is dating the EXE-verse timelined Exterion. He is not cheating on his wife, he is not abandoning his wife. It is a completely separate canon where he had separated himself entirely from his own dimension and focuses on the EXE-verse. This is not something to immediately just bash me or goji on. We are just doing things that we think are fun. It is literally not this deep. I don't need to explain my reasons for why I self-indulge and why others self-indulge in ships. Endless cycles, i.e., for example. No one needs to explain why they like the ship. They can just like it. But when it comes to Curse, I'm suddenly expected to explain everything. I'm kind of sick and tired of the misconception that Curse is a self-insert, fetish, femboy EXE that only serves a purpose to indulge my fetishes and roleplay fantasies, because that's not what he is. Curse is not a OC that I intended to be that. He was never intended to be that. He was meant to just be a character that I just adore and get to make a story out of from a media that I adored since I was a literal child. Why would I ever intend to do something like that without my intentions also being equally as transparent? If I was to make an OC that was only fetish material, I would say it straight up. For the love of God, I used to be a not safe for work artist. I used to draw those things. I had OCs based in those things. However, when it comes to Curse, he is not intended to be those things. And I hate this narrative that he was intended to be these things. It's extremely infuriating, and it devalues the hard work that I had put into, that others have put into for Curse. Shout out to fucking Avery Bomnon for fucking helping me with this shit. I literally cannot escape what I have done due to people coming to my face and telling me to my face that Curse will be nothing but a fetish femboy EXE. And I'm so sick and tired of it. I'm tired of it. As much as I want to make stories and make those around me happy, I can't do that for everyone, and I accept this fact. I need to get over the fact that not everyone will like Curse, which is absolutely okay, and I am a-okay with this reality. I have had people not like me. I have had people not like my creations or art. I have even been put on a cringe block back when I was still a child. I have had someone stalk me. It is not a issue of people not liking me. It is just people not liking me to my face that I have to get used to. Small little tangent aside, I really am passionate about Curse. Yeah. So, if you want more information, check out my Twitter or Toy House accounts. I do a lot of things on there. I also have other projects that you guys can check out, like Jinx's Delights or Sonic EXE New Act, where you can focus on my and my friends' Sonic OCs, and or Revived, being another one of my EXEs. So, yeah, that should wrap up a good chunk of what I have. This video is going to be extremely all over the place outside of like the conciseness of the story, mainly because this isn't scripted. But whatever, it is what it is. Thank you for listening, and I'm so sorry for those who have to hear me ramble. I'm just not good at these kinds of things, and I haven't had to explain Curse in this way in ages. So, thank you for listening, and I hope you'll have a good day. Bye bye!